This is Ready, Set Reiki, a podcast about Reiki, the universal energy life force, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready, Set Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide rather than a host. So I'm Tracy Seawright, and this is Ready, Set Reiki. Hello, my beautiful listeners. Welcome, Ready, Set Reiki. I'm Tracy Seawright. Well, can you believe it? It has been exactly 3 years that I have been in El Paso, Texas. As you know, I've been on quite a journey from coming from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to El Paso, Texas. Now, lots going on. So if you are interested in money Reiki, reach out to me. I'm doing a training this June and July, also a yin training as well. And just a reminder to check out the Dragonfly Reiki Marketplace. If you are a master teacher, this is a wonderful place. It offers an opportunity for Reiki masters to come on and promote what they do, their services. And as a thank you for the listeners of Ready, Set Reiki, Dragonfly Reiki Marketplace has kindly offered a 20% off coupon on the whole site. You can find that at www.readysetreiki.com. Now, today, as we begin our journey, a wonderful individual is going to be on this journey with me, Louse Cruz. Now, amazing owner of Life Balance Healing, Reiki master and teacher, psychic, evidential medium, meditation teacher, and a registered licensed dietitian. Now, she has always been spiritual, even as a child. She was connected to healing energy, angels, saints, and one of my favorite Marys, Mother Mary. She began studying Reiki in 2015 and finished her master's level in the Azui Reiki in 2017 and her master level on Corona Holy Fire in January of 2022. Now, she has mentored under experienced Reiki masters and wonderful teachers here, and she began training as an evidential medium in 2021. So let's find out about all these wonderful experiences that she has here, and we'll start our journey together here as we bring Louse on. So here she is. Welcome, Louse, to Ready, Set Reiki.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Wonderful. And you have a wonderful biography, and it goes on and on and on, but let's hear it from your very own words as your experience. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I have something in common with you. I'm originally from Massachusetts, but I lived in Texas for a while. But I was more central, I guess. I was near Dallas, so I was in that area. Excuse me. And I'm in Ohio now, and this is where I'm settled and hope to stay. As far as Reiki, looking back, I really think it's been with me my whole life. As a young kid, I can remember my grandmother sending me to sit with like the sick relatives or the dying relatives. Mm-hmm. And as a kid, kind of freaked me out. It was like, why do I have to go do this? But, now looking back, I'm like, I think I had that healing energy with me, and I just didn't understand what it was. I started having experiences with Mother Mary, also when I was young. So she's always been a very powerful part of my life, which is very cool. So I was very interested in metaphysics when I was a teenager in my young 20s. But then I decided to go back to school for nutrition. Mm-hmm. So I went to the other side of my brain and kind of let all that go. And really, I've had a beautiful career with nutrition. It's a healing art. I get to help people with their health and feel better. So I've loved it. I still do it. That's not going anywhere. But in Texas, I was in a job that I loved, but it was so stressful. It was literally 24/7. And I thought, I'm not going to be okay if I keep doing this. And so I looked back into the metaphysical stuff that I used to like, and I found Reiki. And I was like, well, I kind of know what it is, but let me check it out. And there was a course that was affordable. So I went, I did the level 1, and I just fell in love with it. There was no going back. And it honestly, it really honestly changed my life. And that's no exaggeration.
Wow. So you became a registered dietitian in 2000. You have this business, Life Balance Healing, that you had opened in Ohio since 2021. And then here comes the Reiki. So would you say that you found Reiki or Reiki found you?
I would say we found each other. I would say it literally presented itself when I needed it the most. Because, yeah, at that point, I didn't have my business yet at that point. And it really just, like, I needed something to help me relax. And my stress level went down. I was able to handle things that would like kind of really freak me out or kind of ruffle my feathers. Wouldn't bother me as much. I was sleeping better. I could speak to people better. I was able to get out of a really bad relationship that I was kind of stuck in. So it really did shift me in a different direction. And then I ended up in Ohio, and this is where I started the business.
Wonderful. And that's one of the amazing things about Reiki is that it helps empower you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yes,
stress
good way to put it.
modality that helps. And then you're working with that Corona holy fire energy, right? Helping to shed that culturally creative self, right? Beautiful. Beautiful. So as you've been studying, as you've been working with the energy, cultivating that relationship, as you've gone from Azui to Corona, what are you finding as a misconception about your work, about working with Reiki?
I think a lot of people think that it is not compatible with religion. So I do, spend time talking to people about that. I work with Mother Mary. She's a religious figure too. So they're not mutually exclusive. They all blend beautifully together. The Reiki is this divine energy. So it goes with everything. So I would say that's one thing. I think the other is that people feel like they need to be, like, I need to be spiritual to go get that done. Like, I can't do that kind of thing. So I think that's another misconception about it.
Right. Well, I had grown up in the church, and my mother was very Bible based. So this was something that did not resonate. As the yoga, I teach yoga as well. So she always had very much an opinion of this. And people are often surprised. Like, I'll get a message in my inbox and saying, I'm going to pray for you. And I'm like, great, please do. And they can't wrap their head around that you could have a relationship with God. That,
Right.
I bring in Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary as well, and that you can have something that is Christ-based, that allows you that ability to choose if that's what you want to do. But there seems to be some individuals that keep that as a separation, thinking that there's some kind of dogma or religion attached to Reiki, and that's not what it is at all. To get that
Right.
kind of understanding that, yes, we have that tradition. Yes, we have certain hand placements. Yes, it's fueled by intention, but it allows you that ability to kind of customize it to your journey and your belief and your practice with that. So you have that choice. You're not tethered to it. I have students that, they pray to God, or they pray to a goddess, or they don't believe it. They just call it universe. They call it source. And that is such a wonderful freedom to have when you're working with something like this, that you have that choice to kind of make it your own.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, like you mentioned, like Jesus and Mother Mary, like, I don't think they have to be exclusively owned by a church. I was raised Catholic. I don't practice anymore, but yeah, so they don't have to, like, Catholics don't have to, or Christians don't have to own Jesus. Like, everybody can interact with Jesus, and Christ means the enlightened one. So any of us can be working towards that enlightenment as we're going through life, which, everybody should be, whether you do Reiki or not. So yeah, I agree with what you said.
Right. So your business is Life Balance Healing. So you are a Reiki practitioner. You also are a medium, right? An evidential medium. So you're finding people that are coming to you, needing questions, needing that evidence. Maybe they've been going through challenging times in their journey. But what has been something that has been a challenge for you in your healing journey?
That's a good question. So let me back up with that just a little bit. So with the Reiki, I think the Reiki really opens you up, no matter, who you are. If you're a Reiki practitioner, it just opens you up because you're, feeling that energy and in that energy. And in that, people will often find that their psychic abilities start to like wake up. And so that is definitely what happened with me. I always felt like I had psychic and mediumship abilities, but not anything that I was ever going to do anything with. But they really started to expand. So that's when I began training, and now I use it as a modality. So when I do Reiki, you do get some psychic hits, and you get some emotion, from people. And so I will ask them, like, do you want to talk about this? I don't combine the mediumship with it unless someone has specifically asked, because you don't want to hijack somebody with, hey, your grandmother was just here. Like, you don't want to do that. So I keep them separate so they can schedule a mediumship or a psychic reading. They can schedule Reiki. If they want to schedule back to back, we can do that. So for me, I think the most difficult healing part has been, it's been a journey, like you said, it's a journey. There's no goalpost to it. It doesn't end. And I'm very open about my, where I come from. I came from a very abusive family. And, Catholics, they didn't show that. They showed this like good front of, we go to church every Sunday. Dad's a deacon in the church. She's a stay-at-home mom. But behind closed doors, it was a very violent and just really not a great way to grow up. So that leaves you with a lot of baggage. There's no way around it, right? You're taking scars and stuff away from that. So the Reiki helped me heal through a lot of that, most of that. What's really beautiful, though, is that Reiki does it in a very gentle way. So it didn't like push me off a cliff where I was having like flashbacks and memories and couldn't handle it. It was just very gently being able to understand, like, that's why I react that way. That's why I feel that way about certain things. How can I turn this into love? How can I be grateful for this instead? And in that, I do get a lot of clients that come to me who have backgrounds of trauma. So I think in being able to heal myself, it then helps me to be able to help other people go down that healing path.
Right. I kind of say that Reiki helped me become lighter inside so that I could be of the light,
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
You attract the people that need that healing as well. And I read I shared it with growing up in the church. We were Episcopal. So that's like one step away from Catholic, right?
Yep.
And that rigidness of every Sunday at church, you had to go to Sunday school, then you had to go to the service. I was an acolyte, and it was really kind of drilled into that. And so Reiki is just a really wonderful way to kind of help shed that culturally created self, to help gently, we're not forgetting it, but we're able to kind of make a little bit of piece of it for ourselves. And you may not necessarily stay in Reiki, but it's something that helps you move in a direction to where maybe it does open that psychic ability up, or clears things, right? Gets that like, oh, I'm able to see a little brighter now, right? A little clearer.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really does. I like the way you put it, how it lightens you up so you can be the light.
You can be the light.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I love that. I might steal that from you.
So, and you can tell you're a medium because it popped into my head, and then you said it one of the things, because I always had that ability when I started doing Reiki, and my teacher would tell me, stop giving the psychic stuff because it's your ego. And I'm like, but things are coming up. So I often kind of like, okay, try to keep it in. And then someone asks, like, did you see anything? And then they keep, asking, fine. And, I'm able to see like different, time periods, things like that as well. But that's what I was going to ask you, like, do you blend it? And so you must have read that in my mind, that question. So.
That is funny. And I use the psychic part because, like, psychic and mediumship work are not part of Reiki. So it's something that we bring in, which can be very beautiful. But, like I said, not everybody wants that.
Right. Not everybody needs it either. And it's not true to, Azui, he was intuitive, but
Right.
Dr. Hitashi, he was diagnostic, and Madame Takata didn't do that either. So you don't have to have that many people, and that can go back to another misconception. They think that you have to have some type of gift with that, and you just don't. It's the intention. You want to help,
Yeah.
you feel the calling. If you feel a calling to do this, then by all means, who am I to be a gatekeeper, right? Go
Right.
for it. And we need a lot more people out there to sprinkle Reiki out there for sure.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
this next question can go either for the mediumship or the Reiki, because there's so much out there. I know when I was younger and I was kind of dipping the toe into, readers and psychics and mediums, that there's such a variety out there. How do you know? So what qualities do you look for when you need like that energetic tune up, or when you need to have a reading done? What are some qualities that you look for in a Reiki practitioner or a medium?
Yeah. I think anybody in this realm who's practicing, I really look at where their ego is, because you need to, you can't be ego free. We're human. Our ego is part of us, but you don't want to be ego led. So if I, come across somebody that is like, I'm a Reiki master and I have healed people of A, B, C, and D, I stay clear away, because like I tell my students, we're not healers, we're channelers for healing energy so that the client can bring themselves into that state of healing. So I'm very weary of like anybody who's really, throwing ego out. Even for mediums, I really am careful with that too. I call myself, like you said at the beginning, an evidential medium, because I will give evidence. So I'm not the person who's going to say like, oh, your grandmother is here and she loves you and she wants you to know, blah, blah, blah. I might say, I have a woman here. She feels like a grandmother. She's showing me a ring, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll be like, oh my goodness, that's my grandmother. So there'll be evidence, there'll be personality described. So I look for that in people who do readings, like that they're pulling information to help you, and they're not trying to like put on a show of how amazing they are.
Yeah. There's some of them out there for sure.
Yeah, and it's a shame, but again, we're human, so ego is part of who we are. So, and looking at for somebody who's been doing it for a while, so they have some kind of experience with it, and people who continue their training. I think that's really, really important. Typically, I don't call myself a Reiki master. I say I'm a practitioner and teacher, because if you ever think that you've mastered this, then you're done, right?
I was trying to find a name, and I came up with energy coordinator. That's what I like to call
it.
An energy coordinator, because I thought, because we're not a master, there's no there. So I thought, what could I call myself? So I've been using energy coordinator as my.
That's fun. Yeah. So see, something like that, that's something good to look for too in a practitioner. Like, what do they call themselves? How do they word things? So, yeah.
And it's just a constant learning too. I mean, and that's why I enjoy doing the podcast, because everyone's a teacher to me, coming on and connecting, and you learn something new every time I connect with someone, and then I can turn around and share it as well. So it's just been a beautiful, beautiful journey. So have a business, all the experience that you've had, you've even got a bachelor's degree. Congratulations on that. And your master's, right? You finished your master's as well.
Working on the master's. So I have a bachelor's degree in food and nutrition, which I've had for 25 years. So I just did the bachelor's degree in metaphysics. And so now I'm working on the master's and plan to go all the way to the PhD with that. So that's exciting, something different.
Wonderful. So with all this knowledge, all this experience, what advice would you give someone who is just starting out in this profession? They're listening to this and they're like, yeah, this is what I want to do. What pearls of wisdom do you have?
I think the biggest thing is to be open-minded, because sometimes some of this stuff can really sound crazy, but at the same time, you want to be a skeptic, because you don't want to believe it's hard to explain, right? But you don't want to believe everything. You want to be
Yeah.
able to vet the information. So really being that skeptic so you can go in and find the truth for yourself, right? Because what works for me may not work for somebody else.
Mhm.
So just being very open-minded as you go into this, and then know that it's, I'm going to say it again, what you said, it's a journey. There's no end post. So
Yeah.
it's a continuous learning. So
Mhm.
like I tell my students after we've done the classes that this is not the end. I have not covered everything. I haven't even come close. I've
Sure.
like opened the book for you, and
Yeah.
now you get to go and continue this journey and keep learning from other people, and
Yeah.
find different things that you can add to it that you like, or how different people experience the energy and how they work with the energy. So really just being open to that and knowing that it's something that's going to keep going. You're not going to take a class and be like, here I am.
And also too, you also, with being a journey, you have the option of pausing and being still and stopping and redirecting. And all of the month, I had this just expansion of just things happening, and then I had another month where it was everything of letting go, and now I have to pause again and say, okay, what direction now do I want to go into? And just take a moment to step back. I mean, when you have these seasons, especially of abundance, and it usually, I don't know if it happens for you, but when the abundance comes, it's like, here's everything at once. Like, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
Face it now.
Yep.
And then the body doesn't know what the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And so
yeah.
it's okay to stop and rethink things and reinvent
Yep.
yourself and go in another direction. And again, but just keep on going. If you stop for a little bit, just keep on going.
Yep. And like what you're saying, that with keep on going, the self-healing never stops either.
It doesn't
so
either.
You've got to be prepared for that. I like to say that when you think you're like, hey, I'm good, I dealt with all this stuff, I've got this, the universe is like, oh, I'm glad you think that. Push.
Now you're back again. And the other thing too, when you had said about, you're keeping that open mind and things, there's such surprises with this. Like when things come through, this is like crazy. Like I had something that came through, and it was a gargoyle, and the gargoyle's eyes moved, and I felt called to reach out to this person. And it was like, this is like, you're going to think I'm crazy, but there's this gargoyle. And I described it, and then just get the validation. She's like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's a statue. And it was just this childlike amazement that like, you can't make this stuff up. Like,
yes, and that is so fun.
To pop something into your mind. And then moving to El Paso, I didn't have the Spanish background. I had a few years in school, in high school, and then forgot it all. And then I'm here. And so things will come in Spanish to me, and I don't know what some of them mean.
Yeah.
And so I'll hear it, and then I'll say it, and they're like, and it's just like, how does it do this?
Yes, it really is. It's like we can touch this magic that, like, I wish everybody could see this and experience this.
Yeah,
and
right.
Those moments really do like solidify that, hey, something's happening here, right? So we're talking about like religious stuff. I was doing Reiki on a woman one day, and I see Jesus standing over her left shoulder. And I'm thinking to myself, holy cow, I've completely lost it now. I think I'm seeing Jesus, right?
Wow.
So I was just like, you stay there and do your thing, and I'm going to stay here and do my thing, and we're not going to talk about this. And when the session was done, the client said, Louise, I have to tell you the weirdest thing, but I swear that Jesus was standing right at my left shoulder. And I was like, oh, that's so bizarre. How does that happen, right? So it's just this stream of, I mean, I know like it's not really magic, but it feels like this stream of magic that we just step into, and it's so beautiful.
And it's always with this childlike wonder, like, wow. Yeah. And then I remember Kim Russo, who was the happy medium. She always said, if two or more confirm it, take it as the truth. And then when you have that validation from somebody, it's like, oh my goodness. Yep. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And that's a good point, that there's never a session that at the end I'm like, that was pretty good. At the end of every session, I'm like, oh my goodness, that was amazing. When they say stuff like, I'll be we'll go back to the shoulder, say I'm feeling a lot of energy on that shoulder. So that's where I focus a lot of the session. They have their eyes closed. They don't know what's going on. And then they'll say something like, oh, I felt all this heat in my shoulder. Or it'll go the other way. I'll say, I was really drawn to this shoulder. It feels like there was an injury. And they'll be like, oh my goodness, I had surgery on that like 2 weeks ago. How did you know? So yeah, just the way these things tie together is, it's like miraculous sometimes, right?
Yeah. And then you have people that'll say, oh, I wish I had that too. But it gets a little scary sometimes, doesn't it? Like you just like, oh my, and it takes your breath away sometimes. And it's like, well, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes you get some information that you may not want, you may not want to know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah. And that also why that Reiki comes in handy as well. Breathe just for today, right? I will not worry.
Yep.
So what books do you recommend?
So I love this question because, I'm very big into like that continuing education. As a dietitian, it's something I've had to do. So it's really ingrained in me. So I'm going to show you some of my favorite books, and they might be backwards when you see them, but at least they'll see the covers so they'll know. So this one is called Why Woo Woo Works. And this is a fantastic book because not only does it cover like all the stuff, but he's got like all these like references in the back. So he's actually talking about like scientific studies. So this is great because then when you have the people that are like, that's crazy, that's not even real, you can be like, well, actually, it is. There's a study by so-and-so that says. So I love that book. You always need a good manual on hand. So this is one that I have, just the Reiki manual. This one I used a lot when I first started teaching. It's really easy to follow. So that's a good one. I'll show you a couple on my iPad because I use that a lot too.
Sure.
So anything written by Franz Steiner, I think that's how you say his name. He is fantastic. He's very well researched. So this one, The Way of Reiki, is great. And then the other one is the Reiki Source Book. You see that?
Yeah.
Kind of. And then one more I'm going to show you because typically when people are into this stuff, they like crystals, right?
Yeah.
So this is a new book that was literally just came out.
Wow.
And it is Welcome to the World of Metaphysical Crystals. And it's by Victoria Berry. And this book is like intense. Like it goes through just every crystal you can think of and all this information. And I got it on Amazon. It's not expensive at all. So I definitely recommend adding this to your library. So those are some of my favorites. I have probably 300 books in my Kindle, and I'm real famous for like, oh, I need to read that one. I need to read that one. And then I'm like reading like 3 books at the same time. So I need to learn to like read one, put it away, read the next one.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's really important, is getting in there and just reading stuff.
All right, beautiful. So what modalities do you offer? What are you offering at Life Balance Healing?
So obviously I do the Reiki. I'm the Reiki practitioner. I also teach. So I do have some in-person classes coming up. So I teach a level 1, 2, and 3. That is also going to be going online. Probably I will be starting doing some of that online. I am going to be teaching a new class, which I'm really excited about. Buddhism. So really looking at the Japanese kind of heritage of it. So that'll be exciting. So that'll be good. I've started doing meditation classes. So that's been really fun doing that. And of course I do mediumship and psychic readings. So a lot of these classes are going to be coming online. So I would say in the next, couple of months that people can really watch for that.
All right. And that leads great into our next question. Where can we find you to get in touch with you?
So I have made it real easy. My website is louisecruz.com. You can email me, excuse me, at info@louisecruz.com. And I would say if you're interested in like what's going on, shoot me an email, and then I'll put you on my email list so you'll get things as they're coming up. or you can keep checking the website, but I think the email list is a fun way to do it. So the website and my email. Also, you can find me on Facebook under Louse Cruz or under Life Balance Healing. I'm on Instagram, but I don't do as much on Instagram. I probably need to, but I'm more on Facebook right now. It's hard to do everything, right?
It's hard to do everything. Like I can't keep up with the TikTok and
Yeah, no, me either.
I was teaching for a while there, many classes, and it was just hard to get on there and go live. You also have a blog, right?
Yes, I do have my blog where I write about my experiences with Mother Mary. I also have a Facebook page for that too, and it's called Mother Mary's Messages. And that is, it took a lot for me to put that out there because, these experiences I've been having with her since I was a young kid. Mm-hmm. And she continues to come to me in meditation with just beautiful messages. And I got to a point where I was like, I can't keep these to myself. These messages are obviously for everyone. Beautiful. And if people think I'm crazy, they probably already think I'm crazy. So we'll put it out there and see what happens. And I've gotten great response to it. So yeah, that's very exciting. And you can find my blog is on my webpage also.
Perfect. So that ends the first part of our journey, and I'm going to continue to guide you into the second part, which are questions from listeners and Reiki students. So number one, and this is perfect because it's back to Mother Mary again. So in working with Mother Mary, what appears to be her consistent message that you often hear from her?
Her consistent message is love. Like it's just over and over and over and over again is love. And, she sees what's happening in the world. She sees all the anger and the hatred and the strife and the separation. And she talks a lot about, not just understanding love, but embodying love, and not just for the people who you agree with, but for everybody, and really understanding that that's the only way we're going to change things, is that if we can really figure out that we are all connected and spread love through that connection, then we can change things. But you can't, bang it over somebody's head, because then you're not in a space of love, right? So you've got to not lose your cool when somebody does something that you don't like, or when you hear something on the news that makes you crazy. You've got to learn to be able to transmute that energy and still send love to the situation. So it sounds easy, but it's not. It's tricky, but
practice.
Yeah. And I would say that's the biggest thing that she talks about is love. And it's really beautiful.
Beautiful. So number two, which system of Reiki do you find yourself using more, Uzui Reiki or Corona Holy Fire Reiki?
I would say that I use Usui Reiki more. I like the simplicity of it. Maybe that's the way to put it. My Reiki sessions are very quiet. They're very simple, but they're very powerful. Like the things, I see and the changes I see in people, the emotional healing and spiritual healing and physical healing too. I mean, it's amazing. So that's the one I use the most, because I also think it's the easiest one for me to keep myself out of, if that makes sense, right? Yeah. To keep that ego out and just let that energy just come through. The Usui and the Karuna and Holy Fire Reiki was very healing for me. I was able to move through a lot of religious trauma when I did those trainings. So I really feel like for me, that's what that was for, more for me to heal rather than me to use, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. It does. Yeah. Zui is the simplicity of, he had people sit on a rock, right? And just let the energy flow. You didn't need all those things, and not to say that sound bowls and tuning forks and chimes aren't wonderful, but it is that simplicity of just putting the ego aside and letting the energy flow.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes it so beautiful.
Right. And, of course we have, and I kind of look at it as Corona Holy Fire is the flavor in the coffee, right? That adds a little bit to it. Just depending on the energy, I tend to be more of a fire energy. So for me, I agree. It helped with that trauma, things like that deepness. And then doing like animal Reiki and then kid Reiki. Kid Reiki helped with like that inner child issues as well. So each had a piece to my puzzle to put together. And so it's a nice little variety in your energetic toolbox for that particular client that may need it. But I often get that people ask that question because, when I first began my journey, I just thought that was it. It was one type. And then it's like you realize, whoa, there's lots of different flavors out here and so many types and styles and systems. And it's not saying that one is necessarily better than the other, but it's nice that you're able to kind of gauge this energy feels a little different from that. And I tell people, start with a Zooey, start there, and then go out, get a little sample that may not be for you. It might be amazing, right? I mean, it's all
and that's part of that continuing education, right? Going out there and seeing what's what. So there's a lot out there.
There is, and new stuff every day. And it's the same thing with yoga too. Like I had to laugh a little bit because I was someone, it's so fascinating. Someone was having like emo yoga, and I was like, excuse me.
And I might want to try that.
And someone here in El Paso, and I'm trying to take the class, but every time she has it, and it's like Tesla light yoga, and I'm like, what is that? Like so there's a lot of wonderful things out there, which is great because it's getting people moving, it's getting people excited, and it's getting people towards healing. So number 3, congratulations on that degree. How has obtaining your bachelor's degree in metaphysical science helped your practice and your business?
That's a great question, really. I think what's been really interesting about getting that degree is that it's a broader viewpoint of metaphysical information. So it's not focused on Reiki, so that's been very interesting, is really looking at things differently, like how you process things, how you respond to things. A lot about very similar of what Mother Mary talks about bringing in that love and, feeling it from a deeper level. So I would say spiritually, it's really opened me up a lot more, which is awesome because it gives me that opportunity to talk to my clients in a different way, and I'm more I'm more comfortable and more confident way.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it goes back to the Reiki, helping you build that confidence, right? Have the courage. I love it. I love it. Well, that was our last question. And as we were talking, is there anything that you might have forgotten to mention or a message that you would like to tell the listeners? The floor is yours.
Thank you. And yes, actually, one thing that we didn't touch on is the precepts. You mentioned them a little bit. So there's 5 Reiki precepts, and as a Reiki practitioner, it's kind of part of it that we really try to live by those and pay attention to those. I have them on my business cards so that my clients, can see them and try to teach them how to live by them. So the first one is I will not anger. Second one is I will not worry. Now, doesn't mean that you're not ever going to be angry or that you're never going to worry. And the beautiful thing about the precepts is it actually says, just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, I will not worry. Now, there's plenty of things to worry about, and there's plenty of things to be angry about. Mm-hmm. And not saying that you can't do that, because sometimes it's justified and it's right, but just really, paying attention, like, am I flying off the handle because somebody just cut me off at a red light? That's kind of crazy. I don't need to do that. And there's a lot to worry about. But I tell people worry is a prayer for chaos. So something bad could happen, but something great could happen too. The next one is, and I saved one for last. So the next one I'm going to say is, I will be kind to every living thing, which includes yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's really something to ponder, because we can be really horrible to ourselves. We're kinder to other people than we are to ourselves. I will do my work honestly, which for me is a lot of like what we talked about, keeping that ego out of there, keeping this work pure. And then the last one, which is my favorite, is being in gratitude. Just for today, I will be in gratitude. And I save it for last because if you can do that, be in that gratitude, then everything else is going to flip.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The example I give my clients is the grocery store. So you go to the grocery store and the the cashier rings up your stuff, and then they kind of lean back and wait for you to bag your own groceries, right? So it would be easy to like fly off the handle. But if you take a breath and say, you know what, I have a car that got me to the grocery store. I'm able to walk through the store. I have money to purchase what I need. Like, there's so much to be grateful for in that moment. And you don't know, maybe she's worked a 12-hour day and she's exhausted, and how grateful am I that I can give her a moment of reprieve. So living in that gratitude, even if it's something as simple as it rained today and my shoes didn't get wet, boy, am I grateful for that. Right? Something that can change your life. And I think that's a big part of how Reiki changed things for me. So being really able to change that thought process. So I think that's a big lesson for people, is really just learn to live in gratitude, spread that love, and know that wherever you come from, healing is possible. I think that I am definitely proof of that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. I also find too, as a lovely reminder, is if we get to the end of our day and we do those precepts and maybe you missed all of them, there's a wonderful Japanese technique called Kaizen, where it's slow progress, but you're making movement. And how can you be 1% more better tomorrow with that idea that, I blew it today. I worried most of the day, or I lost my temper. But you know what? Guess what? Tomorrow's a new day, just for today. And how can I be 1% more better?
I love that. Yeah, and you have to be honest with yourself. The way the world has been, there are some days that I'm like, no, I'm going to worry. I'm probably going to get angry. All I can give you today is that I'm going to do my work honestly. So we're just going to do that today.
Beautiful. And then you're of gratitude that you have a whole new day to start over again and to give it another shot. There we go. Beautiful. Well, thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join me on this journey. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. This has been very joyful. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. All right, my wonderful listeners, if you would like your question featured on Ready Set Reiki, reach out, www.readysetreiki.com. And don't forget, Dragonfly Reiki Marketplace is offering a 20% coupon off the whole site. Just use code FP4XTQHZ. And that, of course, if you can't remember that, you can look that up on the website and it'll be right there. It'll be great all for until September 31st, 2025. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. This has been Ready Set Reiki. I'm Tracy Seawright. Have a wonderful day.